most important stuff always comes from following the flow of money in these things. Always. It's the most surprising stuff and the most important stuff. Toward that end, I will tell you, tomorrow is going to be one of the biggest days we have had in the entire Trump presidency when it comes to following the money. And that story is flying under the radar right now because of all this impeachment stuff. But I will tell you what it is next. You will want to see this. Stay with us. All right, here is why you are going to be up tomorrow morning listening to streaming audio on the C-SPAN website starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. I don't know if any TV network, including ours, is going to be broadcasting the audio live as it happens. But I do know that the C-SPAN website is going to have it. And we just learned tonight, NBCnews.com also got permission. C-SPAN website, NBCnews.com, both have now received permission from the court to stream this audio tomorrow morning. And so I'll tell you, that's what I'm going to be doing on the stationary bike at the gym while everybody else is going fast and sweating and concentrating. I will be the one in the corner with the headphones, going slow, taking notes, not actually getting a workout at all. All right, what this is about is it's kind of the thing we've been waiting for. I mean, the impeachment proceedings on Capitol Hill are riveting right now, right? Even just what's able to seep out from behind closed doors, like this Bill Taylor deposition today. The criminal case that's unfolding alongside and adjacent to the impeachment, that too is turning out to be fascinating. This rock'em sock'em robots, fast developing story. The whole thing is quite nuts. But alongside all of that, we are really coming to pay dirt right now on what has been an absolutely desperate effort by the president to keep his financial records and his taxes out of the hands of investigators. As you probably know, there's a whole bunch of legal cases on this now. The president has hired a whole standalone team of lawyers just to fight all of these cases to try to keep his taxes and his financial records secret. So far, that legal team is doing terribly. The president and his keep my taxes and financial records secret legal team have lost every one of these cases so far as they continue to wend their way through the courts. The president's legal team has thus far lost at every step of the process, even though he now has got William Barr in the U.S. Justice Department to start weighing in these cases on his behalf, which is something, frankly, that dropped jaws in legal circles all over the country when the DOJ agreed to do that, that frankly probably should have shook loose a whistleblower or two at the Justice Department itself, even though we have seen no evidence of that. But tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, streaming live on C-SPAN and NBCnews.com, this is really the one that those of us observing the process so far have been waiting for. Because what's going to happen tomorrow is about this particular ruling, which is going to the appeals court level tomorrow. Just listen to this. This is from the ruling that went against the president that is going to the federal appeals court level tomorrow. First time any of these cases has gone that high. Quote, the president asserts an extraordinary claim in the dispute now before this court. He contends that in his view of the president's duties and functions and the allocation of governmental powers between the executive and judicial branches under the Constitution, he contends that the person who serves as president while in office enjoys absolute immunity from criminal process of any kind. Consider the reach of the president's argument. As the court reads it, presidential immunity would stretch to cover every phase of criminal proceedings, including investigations, grand jury proceedings and subpoenas, indictment, prosecution, arrest, trial, conviction, and incarceration. That constitutional protection presumably would encompass any conduct at any time in any forum, whether federal or state, and whether the president acted alone or in concert with other individuals. Hence, according to this categorical doctrine as presented in this proceeding, the constitutional dimensions of the president shield from judicial process are virtually limitless. Until the president leaves office, his exemption from criminal proceedings would extend not only to matters arising from performance of the president's duties and functions in his official capacity, but also to ones arising from his private affairs, his financial transactions, and all other conduct undertaken by him as an ordinary citizen, both during and before his tenure in office. Such immunity would operate to frustrate the administration of justice by insulating from scrutiny not only matters occurring during the president's tenure in office, but potentially also records relating to transactions and illegal actions the president and others may have committed before he assumed the presidency. This court cannot endorse such a categorical and limitless assertion of presidential immunity from judicial process as being countenanced by the nation's constitutional plan, especially in the light of the fundamental concerns over excessive arrogation of power that animated the Constitution's delicate structure and its calibrated balanced authority among the three branches of the national government. The expansive notion of constitutional immunity invoked here to shield the president from judicial process would constitute an overreach of executive power. As articulated, such sweeping doctrine finds no support in the Constitution's text or history or in germane guidance charted by rulings of the Supreme Court. Bared to its core, the proposition the president advances reduces to the very notion that the founders rejected at the inception of this republic, and that the Supreme Court has since unequivocally repudiated, that a constitutional domain exists in this country in which not only the president, but relatives and persons and business entities associated with him in potentially unlawful private activities are in fact above the law. This court finds aspects of such a doctrine repugnant to the nation's governmental structure and constitutional values. Repugnant. So that was the somewhat clarion ruling of the district court, federal district court, that is getting reviewed on appeal tomorrow. It's going to be an hour-long argument before a panel of 3 federal judges. This is a federal appeals court, so they're sitting in a court just one level below the Supreme Court. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, streaming live on C-SPAN and NBCnews.com. This is an appeal of this federal court ruling calling the president's claim to executive immunity from crimes he committed while in office or before, calling that, quote, repugnant to the nation's governmental structure. I wonder how the appeal is going to go. If you are able to check it out, I will say the thing to listen for is not only whether the subject of this case is going to get resolved, whether the president's financial records and his tax returns are finally going to be handed over in response to the subpoena. Obviously, that's of significant public interest, and that'll be something to watch for in terms of listening to that hearing tomorrow. But beyond that, the other thing to really listen for is that this ruling against Trump that is being appealed tomorrow, it not only smacks down the president for this incredible executive overreach in terms of what he says he can get away with, it also basically dismantles the internal memos at the Justice Department that say that a president can't be indicted. I mean, the president's lawyers and Attorney General William Barr basically hinge their case that the president can't be investigated on these internal Justice Department memos, which in fact say that a president can't be indicted. These are the same memos that supposedly constrained Robert Mueller from recommending any charges against President Trump in his report. Right? It's the DOJ policy that says a president can't be charged. Well, the judge in this case that smacked down Trump for trying to say that he is immune from any investigation, the judge in this case, in this ruling, also says those Justice Department memos shouldn't be seen as having, quote, substantial legal force. It says those memos, quote, do not constitute authoritative judicial interpretation of the Constitution concerning these issues. The ruling says those DOJ memos are, quote, flawed by ambiguities, if not outright conflicts. The ruling says that, in short, quote, the court rejects the Justice Department memos' position, by which the justice means specifically that this ruling rejects the position those memos take, which is the position that a president can't be criminally charged while in office. That whole idea that we have that a president can't be indicted, that comes from those DOJ memos. Part of this ruling that is being appealed tomorrow is a ruling that says actually those DOJ memos shouldn't be in force here. There shouldn't be a rule that says the president can't be indicted. That's crazy. That's what that fight is going to be about at the Second Circuit tomorrow. So bring your headphones to work. You can pretend you're listening to an important conference call or something. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, C-SPAN's website, NBCnews.com. I'll be the one on the stationary bike in the corner with a clipboard, scribbling down my notes, listening.